All right, welcome to the Wiley Manager Crash Course, where we give you a bit of a sneak peek into the discussion that Bob and I have on our regular full-length podcast. And on today's show, or this week's show, Bob, we chatted about the Raci, responsibility charting.
Yep, you betcha. So really all it is it's a technique used to clarify roles and responsibilities. So what Raci actually stands for is, because it is an acronym, Jed, what it stands for is R is responsible. So who's the person that is the doer or actually gets the work done. A is accountable. So this is who we go fire if it goes horribly wrong, right? So who's ultimately accountable for it. C is consult. So who do we have to reach out to and keep them in the loop and ask their opinion, although we may not act on all their suggestions, but we consult with them. And I is who do we need to inform? This is who we communicate to when we decide that it's all done and dusted.
All right, so let's talk folks through how we use this acronym. It comes on an Excel spreadsheet. Let's walk them through how to leverage it.
Yeah, and I should mention we have examples of this at the Wiley Manager website if you want to see, because it is actually quite, it's much more impactful if you're looking at this visually. So if you're following along one of the videos, you'll be able to see it. But essentially what you do is you take your process steps or various tasks that are going to occur, and you list them down the left-hand side of a sheet. Across the top of the sheet, in the columns are either a person's name or a position. I would argue it should be a position, but nevertheless, if it's easier for you, do it as a person's name. And so for each one of those process steps, who's responsible, who's accountable, do we need to consult anybody, and do we need to inform anybody? And you go down. So you can imagine at the end of your sheet, you've got this grid that's full of R, A's, C's, and I's. Most easy to do this on an Excel spreadsheet, but you can do it on the back of a napkin or on a piece of graph paper if you really want to.
What's graph paper?
Yeah, you remember that stuff?
So you got the place, you got the whole thing filled out. What do you do with it then?
Well, the first thing you do is you take a look at it and you look across horizontally and you say, wow, that's interesting. For this process step, nobody's accountable.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that could be a problem. Or you have 3 or 4 people that think they're accountable, right? So, either way, it creates good discussion. Likewise, you look down the sheet vertically and you say, oh, okay, well, there we got Jed doing all this stuff. That's good. Bob, look at that. Bob's not doing anything, right? Why are we paying Bob, right? We either need to get him to do something or stop paying him.
So as a group, you have a big discussion about where the R's, A's, C's, and I's should belong or actually belong.
Yeah.
And hopefully in the end, you have a clearer accountability for who's actually supposed to be doing what.
Right. And so the best way to use this, again, in any organization, people always say, oh, we're not aligned or we're unclear on certain things. This is a great way to get some of that clarity. It's a very simple tool. And it can also be very helpful if you're making changes in your organization. If you're reorganizing or you're doing other things like that, then it's good to sit down and talk about, well, how would we like it to be, right? How would it look like in our perfect world?
There you go. So check it out. We have a much longer discussion on responsibility charting at the full-length podcast, which you can pick off of iTunes. Just search out Wiley Manager on iTunes, or alternatively, you can get it right off of our website, www.wileymanager.com.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to you next time.